online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
Hello and welcome to today's Battle Mech presentation. Today we are going to be looking at a mech that is quite unusual in the fact that it's quite ubiquitous nowadays. You can see the Wraith just about everywhere. People have bought it in huge amounts, enough that you'd almost think that it was available during the Succession War era. No, it was a post-clan invasion, early Federated Suns Civil War era kind of mech, at least when people had them in significant amount. And while it is built in Free World League space originally, nowadays just about everyone has a few Wraith floating around, which is quite surprising for such a machine that came out at such a time. So let's get into it. To talk about the Wraith, we need to start talking about who built it, and it's a bit funny where this history starts with Curtis Hydroponics, which is a key player in hydroponics food production and water purification equipment throughout the Free Worlds League and a good chunk of the Capellan Confederation since 2618. This means this is a corporation that came into its own during the Star League era, which is probably one of the era where you will see a lot of those corporations come out, mostly because there was a drive to actually expand the inner sphere and even the periphery, but also a drive to actually start making decent profits on things that were not military related. But as with any good major corporation, the appeal of making more money led them to spin off into a new division in 3055 with Curtis Militech. Curtis has plenty of money to go around. They built new facilities really quickly to build mechs, and it's a little bit suspicious just how quick and how efficiently they were able to build new equipment, including new chassis, new comm equipment, new jump jets, all sorts of things that are not always super easy to make. I'd love to actually look more into who their engineers were, what the deep information behind that old drive was, and when they actually started investing in military technology. We just don't have all that information, unfortunately. Curtis' first mech was the Wraith, and people actually bought it in large amounts, enough that almost every regiment in the sphere nowadays will have at least one Wraith, and you'll even see clan units having some repurposed Wraiths in some degree. The fact that they're hard to play with once you get inside of it, and they've got some weird non-standard parts, makes the life of techs a little bit harder, but the thing is, a lot of us have seen Wraiths nowadays, so you get used to having fun with it, and realizing that some of the polarization wires on those lasers go backwards rather than frontwards, and some of the connectors are absolutely non-standard, but you know, you get used to it. Just like I said, you've got enough Wraiths to work with. Thankfully, however, the mech rarely needs customization because commanders really like the Wraith and Wraith variants as they are, making our lives as tech pretty nice anyways. The other mechs built by Curtis, the Yeoman, which we've already quickly discussed at one point, it's not a great mech, and the Eagle, which is also not fantastic, probably would not have kept them running for that long, but just building Wraiths, they were making such a nice profit that they could keep going for quite some time. For those who don't know, well, what is a Wraith? Well, it's a 55-ton mech with a massive 385 LTV engine, allowing it to go 119 kilometers per hour. You get 7 Curtis Jet 55 jump jets as well, so you are able to jump around and get just about anywhere you want with a range of 210 meters. Massive investment in mobility is generally a problem on 40-ton mechs if you start digging into it, but here it works kind of okay on a 55-tonner. You can look at the Black Lanner as well as another 55-tonner that invests quite a bit of its weight allowance into mobility. The skeleton is obviously made of endosteel alloy. The body is protected by 8.5 tons of inner sphere grade ferrofibrous armor, so you take as many weight-saving technology as you can, stick it in there, and hope for the best in the long run. It runs you about 13 million of whichever reserve currency you're looking at. It's a pretty decent price for a machine like that. Of course, you can get an heavy mech for about the same price, but the Wraith is a thing that was produced in such an amount that it was available for sale for mercenaries, for other militaries. Just about anyone could put the money down and get a Wraith. Your two base model Wraiths use a similar all-energy weapon suite to get into it with other mechs. The original 3055 Wraith TR1 mounts a Tronal 13 large pulse laser in the right arm for medium range engagement at eye precision, and a pair of Tronal 12 medium pulse lasers on the opposite arm. There's a few left-handed Wraith floating around, probably more a thing with people customizing them for personal use than an actual variant, but I have seen those pop up every once in a while. Pulse lasers give you very, very good precision when fighting, but inner sphere version of the pulse lasers have a quite limited range. On a mech that's as fast and as mobile as the Wraith, it doesn't matter much. You're going to be able to get where you need to use those lasers to cause the maximum damage. In 3057, there was the TR2 that was launched, which replaces the large pulse lasers with an ERPPC, giving you a sniping weapon, much better long-range punch at the cost of heat efficiency and accuracy. I do think it's not a bad weapon on a mech that's this mobile. Once again, you're able to get where you need to be, shoot that ERPPC, and fade away. Both of them use 10 built-in double heat sinks to keep cool. On the TR1, it's generally enough unless you're jumping with the full power. On the TR2, you're going to run hot, shooting all of your weapons. But once again, you're fast enough that you can fade away, cool down a little bit, and come back in later. As with most things built in the Free Worlds League, well, obviously Curtis Militech had to throw their hat into the Jihad, and they put it on the side of the Blakist because reason. Therefore, the Word of Blade had their own version of the Wraith, starting in 3065. The modification is quite simple. It all exists to be able to build a C3I computer on the machine. Both medium pulse lasers are exchanged for ER medium lasers. They do give you better range. You do lose on the heat efficiency on them. And you take out one of the jump jets. So you save 2.5 tons. With 2.5 tons, well, you're able to stick in that C3I computer so that Wraith can give its targeting information to mechs further down the line to be able to be more accurate. The Wraith will be a very good point mech in a C3I Lance or level 2 at that point. So it's a very nice investment. And I would say a pretty decent machine if you have the C3I network going. Of course, having thrown their hats on the side of the Jihadi, well, Curtis Militech had a bit of an issue at the end of the Jihad. The Principality of Regulus went to Paradise 3, where they had their main facilities, and they cobalt bombed the entire planet for 2 hours. That basically turned a planet that was pretty nice with decent facilities into a molten wasteland. This might very well have been the reason why Curtis had to file for bankruptcy, as no sane insurer would cover these kinds of damage, especially after their own actions. That's always a problem when you look at some of those businesses and some of the plans that they have in the short term, let's say. Unlike many designs where some situation like this happened, the Wraith was really popular, so the blueprint and the productions were sold to a variety of people, mainly Ellis Bont Industries in the Capellan Confederation. Ellis Bont TR5 Wraith is a departure from the original design. I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of it, but here it is. You cut down the engine from that massive 385 to a 330 XL with a supercharger to get the same kind of speed. You get 7 improved jump jets, so you get the same jump range. I'm not a huge fan of improved jump jets, but I mean, they work in this kind of situation. To cut on the cost a little bit, the skeleton is actually built on endo composite rather than endo steel. You get 13 double heat sinks rather than the standard 10, and the mech stays decently cool to fire a variety of X-pulse lasers, which give you the same range as a regular laser, but with the accuracy of a pulse laser. All that for a trade-off of running rather hot. So you get a large X-pulse laser and a pair of medium X-pulse lasers. I haven't seen that many of those floating around, but I expect them to be fairly popular and that we will see more and more of them in the future. Another group who's purchased the Wraith plans basically was the good people at Apple. The TR3, the Blakest model, was okay, and people were enjoying it when they had access to it in that C3 computer, but nobody was buying C3i computers anymore. So our friends at Apple, who were building those C3i computers, they had the smart idea of buying the Wraith and getting it sold to other megacorps out there. Local facilities to build the Wraith now exist on Macintosh, with the machine being provided to the other megacorps throughout the inner sphere. Your basic TRA Wraith uses Clan ferrofibrous armor, absolutely not sourced from Eron R2, definitely not. And you use a regular ER large laser rather than the large pulse laser in order to get a pair of light machine gun added to the machine. If you ever look at corporate machines, you will see that almost all of them will have a decent amount of anti-infantry weapons, and that's where this comes from. The most recent Apple product in the Wraith line is the Irith 3G, which is TRA3G in terms of its designation. It's basically a full clan grade upgrade. All the parts they're getting from, let's say, either us or Clan Seafox at this point. And it's in the same family as their proprietary I Warhammer, which you might see on a few corporate security teams. Armor is clan grade ferro. The lasers are replaced with clan standard lasers, so a large pulse laser to medium pulse laser. You get a devastating mid-range punch compared to most Wraith. You get a small cockpit linked to a C3i computer. That all head assembly is standard Apple equipment, basically allowing the pilot to be in a smaller cockpit with not all the bells and whistles, but still be able to pilot his mech without any issue. You also get a clan-grade mask to boost the speed up to 150 kilometers per hour when needed. This is all really good and really fancy, but the Wraith was already hard to repair. Now, with this particular upgrade, or even the previous one, you need an Apple-certified technician and Apple-certified parts in order to repair the machine, or either your warranty is voided, or the machine is not going to start working like it should. This is a problem in the tech world. Ellis Bont is actually leaning into that as well. Let's hope it doesn't become a generalized thing. The Wraith is really a common sight nowadays. Even though it's not one of my favorite, I understand why a lot of people like it. And it does make for a fantastic raider and cavalry unit. The only real issue that remains is that they're hard to work on, and if Apple has their way, we're going to have to hire specialized Wraith analysts if things keep going. I really hope Ellis Bont doesn't go that same direction. Right to repair should always be a thing for Battlemechs because they're bloody weapons. They're not, personal electronics or cars. And even that, you should always have the right to fix by yourself. Maybe we should get a petition going. Maybe we should get some people on a board somewhere to start talking about that. But here it is. So I hope you guys have a very nice rest of your day. I thank you for listening for me for so long, and I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.